Welcome to The Explainer. Now, if you think you know where the money to build Canada's future comes from, well, you might want to think again. We're diving into this quiet revolution happening in project financing. It's a story with new players, new rules, and a completely different playbook for getting big things built.
So think about it for a second. How does a company actually afford a whole fleet of brand new cranes or build a massive state-of-the-art factory? It all comes down to a special kind of funding that honestly acts as the hidden engine of our entire economy. Getting the right gear is the first step, and it's almost always the most expensive one.
And that number? That is not a typo. The global equipment finance market was worth almost $1.4 trillion just last year. This is basically the lifeblood for our most important industries, and right now, that lifeblood is being completely rerouted, especially right here in Canada.
So here's the real key. Equipment finance isn't just about the money. It's about access. It's the thing that lets a business turn a crippling one-time cost into a totally manageable expense. It gives them the actual tools they need to grow, to build, and to innovate.
You know, for decades, if you were a Canadian business and you needed funding, the answer was incredibly simple. There was really only one door you needed to knock on, and that reality has shaped our entire economic landscape. We're talking about the Big Six, right? You know the names: Royal Bank, TD, Scotiabank, BMO, CIBC, and National Bank. Their sheer size created a market that was super stable, very predictable, but also incredibly concentrated. You just had a handful of gatekeepers deciding who got to expand.
And this chart, wow, it really paints the picture, doesn't it? Canada's 6 biggest banks account for about 90% of all domestic lending. I mean, that has really limited the space for any other kind of lender to grow or compete. Until now.
But here's the thing about today's economy. Those big banks are getting more selective, a little more cautious about risk. And all that caution has created this huge gap in the market, a gap that a whole new class of lender is rushing in to fill.
This is financing that happens completely outside the traditional banking system. We're talking about massive investment funds, institutional players, lending money directly to companies. It's a huge global market that is now making a real, significant impact right here at home. Now, what's so fascinating here is the contrast. You've got the banks, which are built on these standardized, kind of rigid processes, and then you have private credit, which is all about flexibility and speed. These lenders are often way more willing to fund complicated or unique deals that a traditional bank might just pass on because, it doesn't fit neatly into their box. Okay, so let's dive into this, because this is where it gets really interesting. It's no longer just about who is providing the money. The actual criteria for what gets funded have fundamentally changed. It's a whole new playbook.
This quote, this says it all. In a world that's been rocked by supply chain chaos and, all sorts of instability, that old appetite for just pure high-risk growth, it's fading. Lenders today want to see stability. They want proof that your project is actually built to withstand economic shocks.
So, what does resilience actually look like to a lender? Well, it comes down to 3 things, and they are absolutely non-negotiable. First, you need a smart automation strategy. Second, a solid plan for sustainability. And third, a rock-solid, secure supply chain. If you can't check all 3 of those boxes, you're probably not getting the funding.
And first up, AI. It is no longer just a buzzword, it's an operational must-have. Lenders see automation as this key defense against things like labor shortages and a direct line to being more efficient. And hey, this isn't just a theory. The numbers of AI mentions in Canadian manufacturing job postings literally doubled last year. This is a real on-the-ground shift.
Second, your project absolutely has to align with Canada's net zero goals. Lenders now see strong ESG, that's environmental, social, and governance compliance, not just as some nice-to-have, but as a critical way to reduce their own long-term risk. In their eyes, green projects are just safer bets. And this new focus on being resilient means the details matter more than ever. I mean, take a look at this. It looks like the most boring document ever, right? It's a provincial tax bulletin from Manitoba. But it shows how even something as simple as renting equipment is taxed differently depending on whether it comes with an operator. This is the level of detail we're talking about. Navigating this new world requires incredible precision.
So what does this all add up to? What does the future of getting a big idea off the ground in Canada actually look like? Well, it means the era of one-stop-shop banking is over. Gone. Today, successful projects need what's called a blended capital stack. Think of it like putting together a team.
You're strategically combining multiple sources: federal grants, loans from Crown Corps like the BDC, some traditional bank financing, and specialized private credit, all of them working together in one complex deal.
So this new world of funding leaves us with a pretty critical question. Is this big shift going to unlock a new wave of flexible money for Canada's most innovative projects? Or is the sheer complexity of it all going to create a new barrier, shutting out businesses that just can't navigate the maze? The answer? Well, it's going to shape the future of our entire economy.